Since today I'll be interviewing an author who is well known for writing younger audiences, I do feel that it's important to make clear at the beginning of the video that this video is not for children. If you're a kid who wants to learn more about Brandon Mull, that's awesome. He has a website, tons of other interviews, and I give you permission to get your mom's credit card and order all of his books on Amazon. But if you're a kid, then you need to pause this video and go ask your parents' permission before you watch it. It's very important that you do this because I use really bad words sometimes. And right now, I'm about to look Brandon Mull in the eye and call him a stupid son of a b****. Welcome to Between Two Perns. My name is Jackson Dickert, and I'm joined here by best-selling author of Fablehaven, Brandon Mull. Brandon, you've got a bachelor's degree in public relations, right?
Yeah.
We're about to see if you got your money's worth. You wrote the Beyonders trilogy, which is a portal fantasy where a boy finds himself in a world where an evil wizard emperor named Maldor rose to power.
Yeah.
The protagonist, Jason, enters the world by falling into a hippo enclosure at the zoo and getting eaten by a hippo. Do you have any guilt for the role that your books played in the death of Harambe?
Who's Harambe?
You're kidding, right?
No, help me.
The kid that fell in the gorilla enclosure and they killed the gorilla?
Oh.
They said that was your fault.
Well, I guess it's hard to make an omelet without breaking a few eggs.
Terrible way to think about the death of a gorilla.
I would rather Harambe lived, but I was at a zoo and I saw a huge hippo and I was gonna write a portal fantasy and I was like, how do I get this guy into another world? Like whatever I do is ridiculous.
Yeah.
A hippo came up out of the hippo tank and it opened its huge mouth and I looked down and said, you could fit a dude in there. And so it became a hippo.
Oh.
And then someone sent me a clip from a newspaper in Thailand, I think, where a little person at a circus, had gone off like a trampoline and got swallowed whole by a hippopotamus to thunderous applause, who thought it was part of the act, but no, he got swallowed by a hippopotamus.
Did he live?
No, I don't think so.
So you're responsible for 2 deaths?
At least.
There's also a race called displacers in this series who can detach parts of their bodies.
That's right.
This is pretty morbid for a kid's book, and you're developing a bit of a reputation for this series in particular. I was reading about that new class action lawsuit against you where all those kids tried chopping off body parts to be like displacers. You've got a lot of 9-fingered fans running around now, as I understand it. Are you allowed to talk about the lawsuit at all?
I should probably just talk about it indirectly.
Okay.
I just sort of think of stuff that strikes me as weird or wrong or terrible, and then I'm like, how do I share this with kids?
Can these characters detach all of their body parts? Are there any parts of the body that are off limits for this power?
I think we've left everything in bounds.
Do you have this magic system patented? Because I think I just got an idea for an erotica novel that's going to be very, very popular.
Yeah, I think you can just run with it, probably. Yeah.
Oh, I've got your blessing on that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You did make a lot of questionable plot decisions in this series, though. Like in the first book, Jason is going all over the land to collect syllables to a magic word that will destroy the evil wizard Maldor. And then over the course of the book, he gains them all. He says the magic word, and it doesn't work. Jason ends up going back to Earth at the end of the book with the world he left behind not much better off. One of the fundamental rules for creating a satisfying story for readers is setup and payoff, making promises and then seeing them through.
Yeah.
Do all the rules just go out the window when you're writing for children because they just don't care? They just get magic and dragon and swords and they'll be happy regardless of how pointless that story is?
Especially with Beyonders, I'm of the mindset of, wouldn't it be fun to do some anti-payoffs? Because one of the things that, we all have our little pet peeves. And one of the things that drives me nuts in fantasy stories is when the setup's too clean, when they get the thing that they're going to need to win the day early in the book, and then it comes into play perfectly and they win the day. And so I was like, let's set it up as if that's going to happen, and then the payoff will be an anti-payoff where I just disappoint everyone. I did it multiple times in Beyonders. It was, I did that same trick.
You're kind of like the reason why it's so hard to write for adults, because they've had such a bad time reading as children.
Sometimes maybe, yeah.
I think you would have done a great job at writing the last season of Game of Thrones.
Maybe.
While Dany kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet and Euron's forces, they certainly haven't forgotten about her.
Perhaps your best and most widely known series is Fablehaven, which is about siblings Seth and Kendra Sorensen who find out their grandfather and grandmother run Fablehaven, one of the magical reserves where magical creatures can live in peace. One of the main characters, Seth, always wears a camouflage shirt.
Yeah.
Is this because he's Republican?
It's because my brother used to always wear a camouflage shirt, and my brother was a recklessly curious kid, and so it just associated in my mind when I wrote my recklessly curious character. He had his camo shirt like Bryson.
Was your brother a Republican as a kid?
He's definitely Republican as an adult, so there might be a link.
I think so.
Yeah.
As someone who lives in the South, there's definitely a link.
You're onto that. You've found a pattern.
The kids in this book are little psychopaths, yet it's sort of hand-waved as like kids being kids. Reading it as an adult, though, there are some insane plot points in the first book.
Yeah.
Early on, Seth's sister Kendra figures out how to open a mysterious journal, and inside all she finds is a single phrase, "Drink the milk," which it goes without saying, but I think putting a Jonestown Massacre reference in a children's book is a bold choice.
Interesting. Yeah, I hadn't made that connection, but now I like it even more.
I don't know if I like it more. An adult character claimed the milk was dangerous and poisonous and told the kids not to drink it. Kendra, the critical thinker she is, decided to trust one line of a mysterious notebook rather than listen to a trustworthy adult that works for her grandfather, and decides, she's to drink the milk. Only she is still worried that the milk could be poisonous and might hurt her. So what does she do? She dares her brainless brother to drink it, and he does.
Yeah, sometimes you do things that you don't think through. I once made a concoction with just a weird mix of things from the kitchen, a potion in my mind. And I didn't want to try it. And so I had my friend in the neighborhood, Danny, give it a try.
Danny's such a fool.
Yeah. In that case, he was too trusting.
Where's he buried now?
I don't know where Danny is. He was a really interesting kid because he had no caution, and so I knew he would drink it. And I think Kendra felt the same way about Seth.
It ended up letting him see the magical world around them, so it all turned out fine. Later, the kids discover Viola, who is the magic cow the milk comes from. They notice her bulging udders and decide that she needs to be milked. They accomplish this by climbing ladders, jumping on her udders, and sliding down them like poles. Can you walk me through the thought process you had of deciding that a major plot point of this book should be children sliding down a giant animal's nipples? Because if you swap the children for adults in this scene, I think you very quickly have a Chuck Tingle novel instead of a Brandon Mull novel.
My wife, or Lynn, thinks my brain is broken that I wrote that scene. And to me, it's one of the biggest love it or hate it scenes I ever wrote. And to me, it just seemed weird and funny. And that's so often my guiding star.
Well, it definitely was weird.
Yeah.
There's a lot of discussion about how difficult it is to write children. Is your strategy just to write little murderous psychopaths?
Yeah, because I think that's a lot of what's at the core of being a kid. At least it was for me.
I suddenly feel very uncomfortable to be here in the room with you.
I had a teacher once who told my parents, fourth grade teacher, that I would either be famous or infamous. And I do see things a little different than the average bear. It's part of having an imagination, I think. I've heard the phrase, it's no fun to go to the beach and swim in the ocean if you have a good imagination. And I kind of have that through my whole life. Like, my imagination comes up with so many weird things. And if I didn't learn to suppress it, I would definitely be incarcerated somewhere.
Do you think when the teacher said famous or infamous, do you think she meant like famous then infamous? Like maybe your time is coming?
It's always possible. But we'll find out how prophetic she was.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not ominous at all, Brandon.
No.
As if these kids aren't already traumatized and weird enough already.
Yeah.
Their grandma certainly doesn't help things.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
First of all, she starts out as a chicken. It's a kid's book, so I can get on board with a chicken grandma. No problem. But when she transforms into a person, she's standing there totally naked in front of the kids. There's no graphic description or anything like that, but unfortunately, I did see It Chapter 2 in theaters, so there was no description necessary. What compelled you to put the most horrifying thing imaginable, seeing a grandparent naked, into a children's book?
Sometimes my logistical brain takes over. And like the logistical brain is like, if she was a chicken, would she come back with clothes? Probably not. And I forget that like, it's magic. They could just be clothes and you don't have to worry about it. So honestly, probably I would do that differently. There's also like a shrinking scene in the book where they shrink and their clothes don't shrink with them. And it was like, that would have been easier. I just let the clothes shrink now, usually in such a scene, without thinking through what's the physics of it. Would the clothes have drank the potion? Would they shrink? Like, probably not. It's like, you know what? It's magic. It's a kid's book. Just let the clothes shrink.
I think you overthought it a little bit.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to ask you about the kids one, so you kind of outed yourself on that one.
I outed myself, yeah.
It might be better if the kids had another set of grandparents in this book to help even things out, but the book actually starts with the death of the kids' other grandparents due to a gas leak, which is a great way to implant some paranoia in today's youth, teach them about a type of death that could happen to pretty much anyone at any time, and they might not even realize that it's happening.
Yeah.
That's great.
The silent killer.
I've always wondered, though, how horror writers get, kind of messed up in the head, because you have to be a little messed up in the head to write the stuff that they do.
Yeah.
Let me just recap Fablehaven really quick.
Sure.
The story starts with people dying from inhaling deadly gas. A male and female character go to a strange new place in the aftermath. The two protagonists don't always necessarily get along. The characters ingest mysterious substances that make them see things that other people can't. There's a naked old lady. The protagonists are in danger with violence all around them as they learn to navigate a strange new culture. Do you think I'm describing Fablehaven, or do you think I'm describing Ari Aster's 2019 folk horror movie, Midsummer?
There's three ways I could have gone as a writer. I really like Stephen King. And I had a phase in high school where that was just what I ate, slept, and drank. And I could have totally been a horror writer. Like, my head goes there so easy. It's like effortless. I could have been a high fantasy writer, done Sanderson-esque, grander adult fantasy stuff like that. That's what I thought I was going to be when I was a kid. I was like, I'm going to do that. Not modeling after Sanderson, but modeling after Tolkien, because Sanderson and I got started around the same time. And then there was comedy. I was maybe I could have written comedy. That was the road I was going to go down. But when I tried to write my first adult epic fantasy, it ended up feeling like a middle grade book. It was Beyonders. And so I aged it down, made it middle grade, and now that's where I live. But they're still in me. I could totally do horror. I could totally do comedy. And it doesn't surprise me that if you look at my stories the right way, I think in all of them you could find maybe a surprising amount of horror elements.
You once earned a gold medal in a community pudding eating contest. Do you still have that medal?
I hope it's somewhere. It's probably I think my mom has a box of stuff from my high school bedroom. I think if I rooted through that, I'd probably find it. I wouldn't have never thrown it out.
I'd like to challenge you for the title.
Yeah, that would be a good battle. Yeah, you have some pudding.
I've got some pudding.
All right, good job. Yeah, I'm always up for some pudding.
Let's do it.
Are we just going to attack it?
I think so. I believe we've got some spoons over there, and we'll just see, if you're still the grand champion of this or not.
I guess licking the top is cheating.
Okay, well, I'm gonna cheat too. I haven't practiced at all, but I think I have a strategy that I'm excited about.
Oh.
You ready?
It looks like you're not using your spoon.
I'm gonna use my spin.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, on your mark.
Steady.
Get set. Go.
Go. Wrong.
Are you kidding me? All right, you win.
That was close.
That was close. I really gave that my all too. I didn't know if that was gonna work or not.
The strategy was smart. When I saw you doing it, I was like,
I think it was poorly executed.
no, when I saw you doing it, I was like, I'd probably lose this. You know, like I was like, and I didn't want to copycat you because I was like, hey, he thought that through and that was a good idea. But then I was like, you know what? I can definitely eat, and let's just pretend it's a normal day, and that's what I did. Just pretended it was a normal Wednesday, and I just ate it at my normal speed and defeated you.
Yeah, you're the grand champion. I respect that. I lost fair and square. That was good.
You've got a little mustache.
I suspect that I do. I don't really mind that I lost though, because winning a gold medal that says BM on it for winning a chocolate pudding eating contest just doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't really feel like a trophy I'd want to proudly display.
My parents gave me that gift for my whole life. When I do initials, I try to include the L. Because it's not the best situation.
Is the L in the middle?
Lee, yeah, BLM.
That's something different, I think.
Bureau of Land Management, yeah.
Sure, Bureau of Land Management. On your website, it says your favorite quote is, "Every person I meet is my superior in some way."
Sure.
Looks like the quote was from Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Yeah, it's a quote I like.
It makes sense why this is your favorite quote, since the only way you're superior to anyone is in a pudding eating contest.
Yeah, that's about right. Like, here's the thing. You can look at other people's strengths as your own failures. And if you do, then life's really hard. Or you can look at other people's strengths, meaning, hey, they got something to teach me. And then life's not so bad. So when I'm in that frame of mind, they've got something to teach me, then I like that quote.
And the thing you have to teach is
Pudding eating and milking giant cows.
you're an inspiration to us all.
Drink the milk, kids.
Jonestown Massacre.
If you get deeper into the book, eat the walrus butter, which is even creepier.
There's a lot of places I can take that, but I'm not going to touch it.